Hey everyone, welcome back. It's Tikva and Rena here.
Today we're going to be talking about how we are faceless influencers and the social media struggle.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Mommy Life Squad podcast where we talk about
things that nobody wants to talk about.
All right, so we're ready to get started about this faceless influencers topic.
Right. We should send out a trigger warning here because we think this is a very controversial topic. But we're ready to speak about it. It's been some time that we've been talking about wanting to speak about this, but we never did. And anybody who knows us, knows that more me than you, but knows that I'm really passionate about this topic, and you'll see why.
Yeah, and we decided to start with this topic this week because we were just featured in Women in Business of Nishay, the WhatsApp status. And they asked us, it's basically an interview, and they ask us questions and stuff like that. And they said, are you going to do this interview faceless?
Right.
And we're like, no. Even though our whole account is faceless, you can't really do an interview faceless.
Right. And also because it was just going to get deleted, it's just on their WhatsApp status. So that was fine. But it brought us to a different realm of thinking, why are we faceless? Because we were just kind of going with the flow for the last 2 years and just posting on TikTok and Instagram and all our platforms. And Baruch Hashem, we've had several viral videos without a face. But then yesterday when Nishay asked us if we were going to be faceless, we were like, this is funny. We really haven't thought about it for so long.
It's also where do you draw the line, right?
Right.
It's where do you draw the line? And also I think we should put out there, what does faceless mean in our terms, okay? It technically, yes, it means faceless,
right.
Literally faceless. We don't show a face. But I think it also goes down to the fact that we don't believe in showcasing our personal lives.
Yeah. It's really a whole bunch of things under one category. But faceless in and of itself is definitely stemming from just being sneeze. And again, we said this is a trigger warning, so we're not saying that influencers who show their face are not sneeze. We're not saying that.
That's a personal thing that we decided on our own for the sneeze aspect. But
right.
Then the other aspect of it, of not showcasing our lives, I think it's more for other people.
What do you mean by that?
Okay, can I give an example?
Go ahead.
Okay, so I don't know if you want to say this, but I remember specifically, I don't know if you want to talk about this.
Okay, now I'm worried. Okay, we might have to edit and delete this. Let's go.
Okay, so I remember when you were on a vacation way back.
Okay.
Right? And your family was somewhere else. Your whole family was somewhere else.
Oh, okay. Yeah, very triggering for me. Yes, it's true. Okay.
But why? Because her family was all on vacation together and they were posting pictures, even though Rena was in an amazing place.
Yes.
But she was so
I was very hurt. I was not hurt, but I was it was very hard for me to see those photos because I wasn't part of those photos. Okay, it was basically FOMO. And if I didn't see those pictures, I would have been totally happy on my little vacation with my amazing family. So why did I have to see those photos? Why did it have to trigger me?
Yeah, but it also goes back to even me, when I remember when I was in high school, and it was a thing. I'm from Baltimore, and everyone, I'm from a Persian family, and we wouldn't go on these vacations, but we would do local vacations. So all our friends would go to Florida. That was the thing. Everyone would go to Florida, and then there's obviously people who would go to
Motel 68.
No, but even on the other end, people would go more expensive hotels. And growing up, we had Instagram, there's Facebook, and people would post about it. And I remember looking on my phone and looking at them on vacation, and I was so envious. And I was a teenager, and I just wanted that, and I just wanted to be on their vacation,
right,
in Miami with them, even though I was on my own vacation and it wasn't as great, maybe, but it always looks better on the other side.
Right,
it always does.
Right. The grass is always green on the other side. And honestly, this is just a disclaimer. I don't think anyone is going to argue about this and say, no, it's not true. I don't get triggered when I see other people's lives. I'm happy for them. It's so nice. It could be so nice. It could be that you're Baruch Hashem very happy for them and you're content yourself and you feel like, wow, it's amazing. But at the end of the day, and this is, by the way, sourced back. Who was the one who told us when I told you I found out about this? I forgot which Rebbitzin we live in LA, so I forgot which Rebbitzin told me this. Oh, Adrienne Yakubi. Shout out to Adrienne Yakubi. Well, she's not a Rebbitzin, but her husband does marriage counseling and all that. But she's a very knowledgeable lady, and she does a lot of Shalom Bayis classes. She said there is no such thing as anyone not feeling envious of something like that. No, 1,000,000% it is something that is going to trigger you inside, whether you say it or not.
Okay, and this also goes, I know this is going to sound a little bit deep and harsh or whatever you want to call it, controversial, but it also goes with something more simple, not even vacations. Like if we take it even deeper or even less grand, right? Even if you just show, for example, sorry, this may be like a trigger warning, but like, oh, my husband just bought me this for my birthday.
Right.
Or look at the flowers I just got for Shabbat from my husband.
Right. And just to play devil's advocate here, because whenever I speak about this topic, people are like, well, how is that any different than you going into shul with your brand new ring or your gorgeous new wig or your beautiful outfit or your kids all matched up? Like, it's not that different. But I always say it is different because here you're showcasing it on your screen to thousands of people. It could get saved to their phone. It's constantly in their face.
Wait, can we just talk about the fact that in shul, you may see, fine, you see the new ring, you see that. You also see, you first of all know, most of the time, like, I see you in shul, I know you, even though I'm close with you.
Let's say you don't know that person, and let's say they are walking
okay, but you see their kid throwing a tantrum in
so
shul by the kiddush. And maybe you don't see that, but you still see another aspect to their life, and you don't just see that superficial,
that snippet of the blessed lives that they have. So that's true. Sikva's saying, like, if you're in real life mode, then you're bound to see other aspects of their life as well. So
but also you're not choosing to go and show that off. That's also another thing. It's like if I go and I take a picture of my new ring and I post it on social media and be like, I have the best husband in the world. Thank you for getting me this new ring.
I can't. It's so cringy. I'm sorry. I'm like, I'm sorry. Okay, Tikva was telling me to stop talking, but it's
I'm not saying stop talking.
It's just like, it's okay. Okay, listen. This is this is a very important topic because I feel like a lot of people can be upset and maybe people will, we had actually a few people who messaged us with our other 2 podcasts, and we're hoping we're going to get more messages with this because we want to see where everyone's holding. But we don't want to chas v'shalom sound like we're putting down anyone. We just want to show that it's like it is something that I feel like it is a shift in our world today. Like this wasn't the same. Like we didn't have this like 10, 15 years ago, right? Like, oh, you're too young.
You could even bring this in right now, but I think Rena should say this, but she does do a lot of matchmaking on the side, and guys want different girls.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Because of social media. You could say the example, you could say
right. I've spoken to so many guys, hopefully guys are not listening to this podcast, but so many guys had called me up and said, oh yeah, her, no, I know about her, not interested or whatever. And like, I mean, they never even have like real hardcore reasons for why they're saying no. I'm embarrassed to even say why they would say no. I think people are just looking at the gram and just and seeing how perfectly curated their pages are, how they can airbrush, how they can filter.
And at the end of the day, these guys do see other from women, like from religious women on Instagram because they're famous role models.
Right.
But they see these perfect figures and they're like, I want a wife like that.
Right. Yeah.
And honestly, it's not a practical thing to ask for. It's not even realistic.
Right.
But they see that and that's all they know.
Right. And I've heard couples who say like, oh, so-and-so went on vacation. They're so lucky. At our Shabbos table, I've heard them say like, we wish we can also, that's so nice, whatever. It's things like that come up that they don't, I mean, you never know what's happening behind closed doors. And we always say that, but do we really understand it? Do we really like think like that? So even if you are a strong person, even if you're really holding with such good values, it's still going to trigger you and it's still going to hurt you. And I don't think anybody would argue with that.
People would argue because they've argued with you.
What would they say? Let's do the dialogue. What would you say? So, like, let's say you have an account and you're flaunting your life.
Okay, no. So opposite. Let's say I'm someone who follows you. Okay, for example, or I'm an actual Instagram. I'm not an influencer. I'm just a regular person on Instagram scrolling through. I can argue that I follow just good accounts, Rebbitzins and cooking channels. Happens to be cooking channels also showcase their lives on their stories all day. But I get so many good recipes from Instagram. So it's not all bad, which by the way, it isn't, and you could gain a lot from it.
We're not talking about that though. We're not saying all Instagram accounts are bad. We're just saying
no, but that's what they can argue with you.
No, they can. I'm talking about something different. I'm saying like, would anyone feel safe to say there's nothing wrong with me flaunting my husband, my kids, my lifestyle, my vacation?
Right.
Would anyone say that?
Right. No.
I hope not. I really hope not. But but yes, of course, and people have pushed, actually, I hosted a class at our house with Rabbi Vasuki from LA, and he spoke about like Ayin Hara. And he said, like, we're in a different generation today where everyone is blasting and showcasing and sharing non-stop.
Do you want to quickly just explain what Ayin Hara is for anyone who does not know?
Yes, you go ahead, take the mic.
Okay, so Ayin Hara literally means evil eye. So it comes about when someone is flaunting something like a new car, and the bystander neighbor goes and sees this new car, and they basically are like, oh my gosh, this person is so lucky they got a new car. And it kind of like brings on a bad, negative energy towards it, and that car may get scratched, dented, or worse.
Well, actually, so when I was, besides for the class that was in my house, I went to a shir, and I remember this is way back, probably 10 years ago in Baltimore, and I remember Rabbi Kakin was speaking about it, and he said that it's a court case in Shemaim. So whenever someone has
Shemaim
negative
is
in the Shemaim, like the sky, what do you mean?
It's a court case after you pass away.
Right. Sorry. So, like, for example, let's say that car example, then there's going to be a whole court case against that person who has the car to see if they're even worth having that car, because it could be taken away. Now, this is very deep, and a lot of people probably haven't heard of this.
Yeah, and also it's a lot of Rabbanim say the more you believe in it,
the more it will come to you. So, like, try not to like be obsessed over it. So like it's like Tikva was telling me the other day that someone in her life is like very obsessed over it, and I think that's hard. Like, it's not only hard,
it's
but
a hard way to live.
It's damaging also.
They like anywhere they go, anything they do, they make sure no one knows about it.
Or they lie about things. They'll say like, oh, we didn't buy the house, we're leasing the house, like something like that. So whatever, I think everybody has its own like whatever,
right.
And you know where you're standing and holding on this. But that's basically, well, how did we get into evil eye even? How do we get into Ayin Hara?
Because of social media. People will show off their life on social media, and that can cause an evil eye on their life.
Right. So that's a really big factor, and I also wonder like. I mean, it affects people of all ages, and I feel like, Baruch Hashem, we don't have it on our phone, and I think I mentioned this, well, we mentioned it on Neshe, but we feel like it's worth mentioning over and over again, because if there's one thing I would suggest to anybody who has social media, which a lot of people do, is take it off your phone. Like, even if you have a business like we do, Tikva and I have a business, and we still don't have it on our phone.
And not even for the religious aspect of it. It doesn't even have to do with it. It has to do with me and my time and how I felt afterwards. When I had social media on my phone, and I had it for a long time. I grew up with Facebook. I grew up with Instagram. I've had social media on my phone for a very long time. And once we started working together and having our whole social media account, my excuse was I need it for work. I'm not taking it off my phone. And even though I kind of wanted to as a woman, I'm like, I need it for work. And then I'm like, this is so not practical, because anywhere I go, I'm constantly checking my phone to see when we post a video, how it does, if anyone comments.
Right.
And it ends up like
taking over your
life, and also taking away from your time with your kids,
with your spouse,
when you're out with your spouse, you're on a date night or anything like that. Right. It takes away from that time, and also it interrupts it. It interrupts your schedule. Like when I'm cooking for my kids or cooking, and then I check a text, even a text, you're checking a text, it interrupts that cooking time. And it, first of all, it makes it take a lot longer.
Yeah.
And also it changes your day. And it changes how you feel during the day too. Because imagine you see someone's story that, let's say you're having a hard day, right? Mm-hmm. And you on Instagram and you see someone's story that they're having an amazing day and they're on vacation and they're relaxing.
You feel like so down about yourself.
Yeah. Or if someone, like even in someone else's success.
Yeah.
I know you have to control yourself in a certain extent, and you can't just get jealous of everything that you see, but it does affect your day. And then when you're with your kids or your husband or your spouse, it affects that relationship that you have with them too.
100%.
So once I took social media off my phone, and I'm not talking about everything. I took off Instagram, TikTok,
WhatsApp.
No, WhatsApp. I have
business,
WhatsApp business. Our business account is on the other phone. It really changed my whole life. I feel like I'm able to focus now when I'm out. It doesn't interrupt my day. Before, when, let's say, a video would do badly or something, it would affect my day. Mm-hmm. Even seeing something on social media that's like negative affected my day.
Mm-hmm. Right. And like a lot of time, for me, actually, I have mine on an iPad. And my iPad is actually stored away upstairs in my bedroom. So if I ever want to access it, I literally have to go upstairs and get the iPad out, which means I'm not accessing it more than I should be, which is good. A lot of times people will be like, oh, did you see how our video did or whatever? And I'll literally have to see it like the next day or whatever because I don't have it handy or I'm not home or whatever it is. So I love that. And I think our most, I think if there's anything you're going to take away from this podcast, it's try it. Right?
Right.
It's just life-changing. Like, why? Why do you have to constantly
I'm not even saying, don't even go extreme. Don't.
Yeah.
Start with one step at a time. If you have an old phone lying around, try it.
Yeah.
Just take off Instagram. Take off TikTok.
Right.
And I'm not saying delete your account. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying go extreme and go all out. It's just have it on a separate device so that it doesn't take over your life.
Right. I was having this conversation with a friend of mine a few years back, actually. This is even before I knew what social media was. We didn't really have it. Tikva had it briefly, but I never had it on my phone ever. And she was telling me about how she really has this problem of like how she's addicted to it. And back then I had no idea what she even meant. Like, how could you be addicted to like a screen? Like, of course, like watching, I knew I had YouTube on my phone, but I'm saying like, why are we following other people's lives? Like, how could you be addicted to someone else? You don't even know them.
But now, I think now you could probably agree with this, that now that you see the social media world,
it is,
you see how it is addicting.
Right.
Because in the end of the day, first of all, sometimes it's convenient. It's like,
right.
Like, so looking at someone's fashion, I know you're not into this, but I personally like it, is when people post fashion advice and they're like, oh, I got this skirt from this website. It's convenient for me. I just go and click on the link and I'm like, oh, perfect. It's a perfect skirt. I know it fits other women nicely. It's going to look nice on me.
Right.
It's just, that's a
It's
convenient.
not that I don't like it. I just feel like, I guess I know how to dress myself, so I don't need it. But I also think like people are, forgive me for saying this, but I feel like people are trying so hard on their platforms to like pose and like do, I don't know. I just like, I don't know if the word is cringy, but like it's cringy to me. I don't know what it is. It's just like, I just think a lot of people are trying like very hard. And I think that it just distracts us. Everything is distracting. But again, someone was telling me, someone who was a fashion blogger was telling me, I didn't tell this to her obviously, but she was telling me like, this is my parnasa. So like, okay, fine, it's your parnasa, so you have to do it. And I totally respect that, you know?
Right, and it's also, we're not trying to change other influencers or change other people. It's more for ourselves, like, as someone who is on social media, not an influencer, someone who's on social media, watching other people, it's like, maybe control, like, really looking at an account that we follow and being like, does this
make you feel good after you stop scrolling? Like, after you're done, do you feel good? Do you really feel good? So it happens to be that I was always telling Tifka, like, I want to shift our account to make a Kiddush Hashem and make people feel like they learned something. Not only hacks, I know we're hacks, but like I feel like we have this opportunity to tap in, and so many people have encouraged us to do that. They were like, well, if you have this platform and you have an audience, then why aren't you doing X, Y, and Z? And it is something that we would for sure look into. Going back to this friend of mine, she was saying, I just think it's crazy, so I had to throw it in, but she was saying she took it off her phone for like 2 weeks and she never felt as happy as she did in those 2 weeks. And it was so hard for her. She ended up putting it back on, which is sad. But that's
why we're saying don't go extreme.
Yeah.
Because if you have it on another device, you're less likely to put it back on your phone because you have it on another device.
Right.
I didn't feel like once I took it off my phone, my actual real phone, and I put it onto the other phone, I don't feel like I need it. I don't. Because if I need to check anything, I just go get the other phone and I check it. And I'm not bringing this other phone with me wherever I go. It stays at home.
Right. And the second thing I would like to say I think is very important is that take a very fine look at who you're following and try to understand, like, are they helping you? Are you inspired by them? Inspired, I mean, you could call inspired by fashion or whatever, but I mean like growing closer to Hashem. Like that's our ultimate goal. We don't have that long to live. And if we're using our time on a platform like this, at least use it to your benefit and make a Kiddush Hashem with it. So that's where I look at it. And it happens to be that if you look at our account, Mommy Life Squad, we're following 0 people. And that's on purpose. It's not by accident.
We were following people
at some point. And then I convinced Tikva to like not follow anyone just because, Chas v'shalom, there are so many people out there that I feel like we would be inspired by actually. But if I want that dose of spirituality in my life, I'm going to find it on a podcast. I'll find it on like that platform, but I'll know who to look for. I don't need to necessarily be busy following people.
Don't you think but it's funny that we're talking about this when we have a social media account.
And if we trigger you, let's say this, if we trigger you, do not follow us. Unfollow us right here, right now. If we trigger you, if we're cringy, if we trigger you, because that's our message.
Really
that's our message.
That's our message, and it's also our goal with our account. We don't want to trigger anyone. We don't try to showcase
but I feel
so
like
much because
we're
of that.
so parv and so boring compared to other accounts that people won't feel like we're triggering any. I don't. That's my opinion.
Everyone
we don't know. We don't know.
No, but that's our message. We want everyone to feel like inspired and feel good after.
Yeah, but I don't know if they're going to be inspired by our hacks.
Not inspired, but
whatever. Whatever. Like, it's like parv. Okay, whatever. I just got a good cheesecake recipe. Thank you very much. And by the way, we get asked, we're like the hack doctors now. So like people will message us all the time about like different hacks. Like, oh, can you come up with a hack about this? And we don't come up with these hacks. Some of them actually, Tikva is really good at like. Yeah, we both came up with a few here and there, but like we've seen stuff, we've tried stuff, we've heard about stuff, and that's how we come up with it. But we do get asked.
Also, we love when our followers give us advice of things that they've done, hacks that they've done and they've tried and they know works. We love that because then we're like, okay, this is tried, true. We've been doing it for years.
Yeah, anything to make the mom life easier, right? That's what it is. Okay, so just to conclude here, this was just our perspective on social media, but I'm sure there's going to be so many other opinions, and we hope that this resonates with you, or at least some of it does. We hope you get inspired by it. Thanks for listening in.
Thanks for tuning in to our Mommy Life Squad podcast.
And stay tuned for the next episode.